Today's daily Bible thought is kind of a specific one for a couple of my really good friends. One friend who is a Red Barn kid, and I reached out to her for permission to give her a shout out, but didn't hear back on Instagram, so I can't say her name, but she is one that's in my mind because this is one of her favorite verses, and she loves Psalm 107. I'm giving you a little bit of a foreshadowing there. That's the one we're coming from. But another good friend has been really struggling, and when you hear the word darkness, you'll know that this is for you, and this is all about what God is able to do. So I'm reading from Psalm 107, and if you've never read that psalm, I encourage you to dig into it. And don't just read it, study it. It's a patterned psalm. So you'll read, in fact, you'll read or you'll hear the verse, one of the verses I'm going to read 4 different times throughout it. And each one references a different way God delivered people, different situations they ended up in. And so today's is Psalm 107 verses 13 and 14. And I've got 3 different versions. Sorry guys, but it's like when you hear verse 14 in these 3 different versions, you'll understand why I had to do this. So, okay, from the New International Version it reads, "Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress." And that's the verse you'll hear over and over again throughout the psalm, 4 different times. Verse 14, "He brought them out of darkness, the utter darkness, and broke away their chains." And that's what he's in the business of doing. He's a chain breaker. So from the New Living Translation it reads, "Lord, help," they cried in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress. He led them from the darkness and deepest gloom. He snapped their chains. Ah, I love that verb, snapped their chains. They're nothing to him. He can break them. They're just like a twig. Okay, from the English Standard Version, again, I love this one too. This is a great, especially verse 14, that verb. Listen for the verb. First he broke away their chains, then he snapped their chains. Wait to see how the English Standard Version puts it. "Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and burst their bonds apart." Boom, they're gone. And that's what God does. And guys, if you think, I don't know, I think about what we're going through in our world right now, and you know what? We're all the same. We all have lies that we've believed, bondage that we're under, things that have just bound us forever. And when we get to the foot of the cross, we're all the same. We all need him to break the chains that bind us, because sin binds all of us. We need those chains broken so that we're free to live together. But please read Psalm 107 today for yourself. Look for the pattern. Look for the 4 different times you hear that. Then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them from their distress. And pray for God to deliver us from our distress in this world.